Hey, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. This is one that we've had so much interest in. So we have over 170 people that are coming to this one. So we'll give everybody a few minutes to roll in because it does take some time, like I said, to just roll through the gates here. So don't everybody all stampede at once. But no, excited to have everyone. And while we do that and ensure people are settling in and getting in okay, we want to also test the chat function, make sure that that's all working. And so if you wouldn't mind uh, just dropping your name and what community you're joining us from. Obviously, given the topic, I'm expecting lots of people come from our First Nations community and community organizations and governments as well. So would love to say hello in the chat. And yeah, there we go. Andrew Francis, Mohawk Council, Jillian, Housing Manager, Treaty 8, First Nations of Alberta. Awesome. Whitney, The Rock Youth Services from Prince Edward County, Ontario. I was going to say PEI. Winter Copeland, Aboriginal Friendship Center of Calgary, like near and dear to my heart. I used to work with those guys a lot. Lauren Hatley, Ontario Federation of Indigenous Friendship Centers in Toronto. Yeah, I'll keep doing a couple of shout outs because there's still more people rolling in, but it's also nice to say hello and learn who's in the room with you today. So it's kind of I'll do a couple more shout outs until everybody rolls in here and we can get started. Chelsea from Fraser Region Aboriginal Friendship Center Association in Surrey. Cool. Anne Brain, the Care Center. Oh, Anne from the Brain Care Center. So, pardon me. Sanjita Kothari Shamatawa. Stephanie, Brain Care Center, Edmonton, Alberta. Amanda Boilia, Cindy McGregor. Oh, I'm you guys will have to say that one. I'm gonna butcher it, and it's not respectful. OB United Way of Calgary and area. Hello, I used to work at the United Way of Calgary and area lifetime ago. Steve Lau from BC Housing. Hi, Steve. Thanks. Maria Sayer, YWCA Calgary Halifax. Jasmine, Orleans, Cumberland, CRC Ottawa. Chris Botley, Sault Ste. Marie Innovation Center in Ontario. Awesome. So those of you that are joining and you're not a First Nation, Inuit, or Métis government or organization, if you know your First Nations, or the Indigenous name of your territory, let us know that too. Oh, somebody's AI assistant. We welcome AI assistants here at Help Seeker. We're fond of our AI friends as well. So yes, welcome to everyone, and we'll get started here because we know everybody's busy and you want to get your content and get out of here. First things first, we absolutely will be sending the recording and all of those goodies alongside any resources that come up that folks are like, put up their hands on. So absolutely look forward to that. I should also introduce myself. I'm more of the kind of facilitator today because Ashley, our colleague Ashley Kinnaird, is actually joining us, and she's going to be more of the star of the show. Technical expert from an organization that is doing this work for real. But I will say a couple of remarks first as well. So Alina Turner, and I'm the Help Seeker CEO here, and joining you from Mohkinstsis, which is Treaty 7 territory, Calgary today. Ashley, I'm going to hand it over to you to say hello as well and introduce yourself and where you're joining us from and the organization you represent as kind of our star of the show. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. So my name is Ashley Kinnaird. I am the operations manager with Stsi'elh Stuhw, and we recently assumed jurisdiction with Cowichan tribes. And so part of this database was kind of our journey into our jurisdiction and our own legislation now.
Yeah, awesome. And just a caveat too, that this is a technical meeting, and so we're going to try to stick to the data, the tech, and all of those things. Neither myself nor Ashley are going to be the ones to dive into some of the politics that I'm sure are raging in BC right now. This is not that webinar. Okay, so this is really about the data, about the technology, and how First Nations are implementing these really novel solutions in their communities, and how come. Okay, we did this piece. What we'll cover today, we'll do a case study on how this context actually took a initially built for the social services more generally, but how that needs to change when it's the context of what Ashley talked about, taking that jurisdiction work around child welfare as well. But so much more than just child welfare, as you'll see as well. We'll give Ashley the mic to do the full walkthrough of how they're operationalizing this in practice, and then we'll have time for questions as well. So a bit of a starting point as well, and why customizing this to First Nations, especially in the changing jurisdictional context, is so critical. A lot of off-the-shelf solutions don't take that into account. And so they're either built for one particular program. So let's say your regular child welfare program or your regular youth drop-in center, or they're built for just housing or for just mental health. And a lot of the time, what that does, and I'm sure you've experienced this in your day-to-day, is that you end up with organizations that naturally do more than one program, and they end up with these disconnected systems where they don't actually know how many people they have in the organization that are being served. Every program re-enters data over and over again, and then the reports that come out don't make any sense. And we see that, unfortunately, with every implementation, this is reinforced how much of a mess that creates for the organization that is trying to have a holistic approach to the people it serves. So again, advice is don't build for one program at a time, build for the system, and make sure that you can get the data out. So a lot of the systems that are out there, essentially, they become black boxes where you have data that goes in and it looks good on the surface, but when you try to get the data back out and say, well, what's happening here, you can't actually put it back together because of the way it was collected. And that requires a data model upfront, and understanding what those requirements are from the people that are actually living with this data in the day-to-day process. Because if the garbage goes in, the garbage comes out. And even if you can get your data out, if it's useless because, again, there wasn't very good acceptance, or the data collection didn't match how people operated in that organization, and you're matching exactly what their workflow is, and ideally, again, with AI and automation, we can speed up so much of that data entry process, their report writing, et cetera. So those are some of the considerations of why we ended up with this approach to building. We sometimes get in trouble when people say that, why do you have to customize? Why do you have to bend around the organization? Why don't you just, and this is, I guess, from an investor perspective, we always get told you should just cut and paste this and just push it out because you make a lot more money that way. But the reality of the social sector, and we're a social sector, a tech company, social enterprise, yes, you do take a hit on revenue when you do it this way, but the data you get out and the adoption is so much better, because ultimately the value of your product comes in people using it, people loving it, people telling other people about it. So configuration, all of this stuff becomes really essential. So how we build, and this is a bit of our secret sauce, and that's okay if other people want to steal it, go for it. But we treat the organization as a holistic system that is part of an even bigger ecosystem of services in that bigger community. So we always think about that component, and we think about the program configuration and the need ultimately for the organization to still have a source of truth for people. And that ultimately those people become parts of cases. And then the event log, that kind of source of truth around a timeline, that we call it the sacred timeline, and DC universe, you have these different timelines, but there is a sacred timeline within that organization of here's what happened, across departments, across people that are staff, volunteers, clients, etc. So you have to be able to tell the story about what happened in each case, what happened in that event or in the event log, and then what happened across programs as well. So that's a bit about how this stuff gets built. A note on, and this is something that folks asked about. Sorry, this is Travis probably telling me I'm talking too long. Yep, it is. Does that all the time. Folks talked about sovereignty and governance as well in the questions that came in ahead of this. And I think as you watch what Ashley shows you, you'll see what does sovereignty look like in practice, right? Because a lot of the OCAP principles, you read them over and over again, and you say, like, how does that apply in a software context? It's essentially it's up to the organization that's, and has that jurisdiction to determine what they want and how they want to control their own data and how they want to host their own data, etc. But it'll be things to look for in terms of her presentation. So when she talks about access rules and sensitivity levels, especially in a small community where sometimes the staff have family members that are part of programs, so how we structure privacy around those components, intake forms and fields, so how the intake itself is created and the fields that they, you control what gets collected, the workflow, right? The terminology that is used that is, specific to that First Nation or that organization. That is a way of addressing those questions around jurisdiction and sovereignty over your own data. But at the same time, there's certain things that are still, enabling that configuration to still stand on a data science approach so that you can still do the work in terms of reporting. You still have your audit trail when it comes to governance and privacy law that we all still operate under Canadian privacy law to a great extent. And then, of course, the Canadian hosting, encryption, et cetera, and reporting infrastructure. So we still all have to be able to report to our councils, to funders, et cetera. So where data lives, who owns it? Reminder, if you don't know, Canada, if you're funded by a Canadian or government, your data has to stay in Canada. More and more, they're asking for the data to not even just be in a Canadian server, but also be run by a Canadian-owned software provider in a Canadian-owned server. So the ownership now, right, because in the Cloud Act in the United States, you can call the data out of Microsoft, for instance, because Microsoft they might have a host in Canada, but they're still a US company that operates that software. So that is a consideration. Data is ultimately yours, so that ownership and everything you put in, and then always exportable. So full export in standard data formats, not in a junky mess you can't make any sense of, with the configuration included, so that you can actually make sense of your data, have a data dictionary, et cetera. So you can be portable, right? It shouldn't be a big pain in the butt if you need to switch operators or vendors. So from here, I'm going to hand it to you, Ashley. As I said, you're the star of this show. I have one or two slides just introing you, and then you can share your screen from there. I'll give you access. But yeah, maybe I'll hand it over to you and tell me when to switch out.
Yeah, so I guess I'll talk about when we were looking for a database, we were looking for something that was a one size fits all. So one of the things that we found as a huge issue for our organization was the fact that we were using 3 to 4 different databases essentially to do the same work, but in different ways and different capacities. So the nice thing with this one with Mareto is the fact that we were able to kind of merge all of them into one, but also have a lot of flexibility in how that looked and how that transpired with the work. So we've got not only child and family service pieces in there, but we also have operational pieces. We have our maintenance team, our housing team. There they all are right there. So, you know, we've also been working in it while we're building it, which has been a great option for us. The work can't just stop, right? And so having that flexibility for us to continuously update, build, and enter data and start that piece has been the best part about it. We do have a variety of programs as we grow, as the organization grows with jurisdiction. You know, we have the option just to start, you know, adding programs as we go, which is also another great feature. We'll get into like a demo in a bit to show kind of some of those nuances of what we've changed. My background was primarily like I started with MCFD. I did a lot in ICM, and so being able to kind of merge the best of all the worlds into one is kind of what we created, and it's been a pretty easy process, thankfully. I don't know if you have any other sign. There we go. Walk us through it. Okay. So I just want everyone just to bear with me because this is not the normal world that I work in. We've changed some of the data, so it's
Oh
not
yeah,
quite the
we
same.
should say Ashley, while you pull it up, I'll give some context. So what we are showing you guys is the twin, a synthetic twin of their live instance because again, we don't want to we want to show you the ins and outs without compromising client data because as Ashley mentioned, they're live. Yeah, there we go. So go for it.
Yeah, so it's just a little a little special just because yeah, I was clicking into it and I was like, I don't know what this is, but now I get it. So we have our dashboard. The great thing about it is for, you know, our directors and our executives is when they log in, they can see right away how many people are connected to the program, how many cases do we have open, and events are like how many, like think of it as like case notes kind of thing, like how much documentation has been entered. So right now, like we're almost at 10,000 already, and we started using it at the end of February. So we're really slamming the system pretty hard. Um, a big thing that we wanted to focus on was with just the person registry. And so one thing that we did is sorted it by inactive and active records. And by doing that, we saw it as an option for our after hours team to at first glance be able to tell if a client is associated with the organization or not right away. So the nice thing with that is, you know, you get a call on after hours, you're able to go here and I can see everyone that's here. I could search someone and it will populate their name if they're connected with the organization. And if they're not, then I know in the inactive. So that's been a great piece. I'll just click on one just to show you. We also added this person role type, which we found extremely important. This allows us to be able to clearly also show what that person's role is within the organization. So we can say if they're a Smun'eem, a child, a youth, a parent, and when you are on this sheet, it'll show you how many roles you have in each category. So that's been a nice thing for our quality assurance team and our stats. So we know how many of each category we're working with. I'll go back into our persons here. And so some of the fields that we've made primary, obviously the basics, right? That everyone needs to have, band ID. We have our Indigenous identity section. Again, these are very basic requirements. But where we kind of changed it was around like the health and safety piece, right? And so for child and family service, especially, you can sometimes have risks, right, that are associated with clients. So this is maybe you have one parent who has a safety order with another parent. We can add all those risks in here. And when you add one, it'll flag it at the top where it says no risk identified. If we added one, this would be a constant flag for this client at all times. We can add different special needs and disabilities and things like that, which is great. Same with status and consents. And then we kind of, if there's anyone familiar with how ICM operates, we kind of liked that piece of having, everything associated to that person clear and underneath. So that is what we went with. And so we can clearly see if there's any intakes or intake history, as well as any signal reports. So the signal reports are those intake calls. Any call coming in, we document under the signal reports. Intake history is once that call needs some type of investigation, maybe it wasn't no action needed, that's when they would create that intake, and it's all streamlined right here. From the intake process, we are then able to deem no case needed, or if we're needing to open a case, and then again, it just populates right here. It's all in one spot. And then any transfers as well will also populate under the person. So that's a really nice feature. Makes it way easier to find what you're looking for. I'm someone that is on after hours. And so being able to see it all in one place has been a huge, huge benefit. I'll go see what we can find for cases. We have this case field. And so what this does is it generates a list of all the cases within the organization for your access level. So like for myself, I have access to all the cases across our organization. So this is where I go to look for someone specific. The nice thing about this is it will also sort like open cases, pending cases, on hold. The pending ones especially are great for if you have care provider services that you offer. And then you can see closed cases and transfer cases right here. So it's just another option to be able to find cases that you're looking for. The other nice feature that our care provider services team has found helpful is this click and drag option. So if they were on hold and now you're putting them to pending, you just click and drag it. So that's been a nice feature for them. You can also see stats by worker. So this has been huge for when we're looking at taking transfers. We can very quickly see who has capacity to take that file. I'll go into some of our programs. We have a lot of programs. So we have, I'll just do a quick overview of some of the more less meaty ones, but we do like an art therapy. And so like the art therapy, the nice thing is when you're in a case, you're creating that event right there and it auto populates into the screen. So as soon as you submit that right away, I'm going to see in this new art therapy request that there's a request there. And then I can accept them. I can complete them. I can cancel them. I can wait list clients. And this makes it very, very easy for the teams within your department to be able to see kind of at first glance where are they at, right? How many people do I have waitlisted? So that's been a really, really nice feature. We do the same thing for life skills, and it's the exact same process. So referrals created, auto populates for that team. They accept it, complete it, cancel it, and then they can also track their sessions as well. Our access team, very similar. Lots of these are kind of cookie cutter of the same thing, but referrals, accepting them, canceling them, and completing them. So these have been really, really helpful. They can see their stats at first glance and no more emails of referral forms, which has been a godsend. Now our family service section, this one's just a little bit meatier. So we were able to do it, same process as kind of ICM where we've got, if I had active cases assigned to me, they're going to show here. If I've been added as like the second support person as well, they will also show here. So that's great in that support area. I can see all the open files for everyone on my team as well. So if someone's away and I need to cover, I still have that ability to see everyone that my team's holding. Any transfers as well are in here, so we can see where we're at with our transfer requests. And if we've transferred cases and they're completed, this is where they populate. So it's great because you can still see the history at first glance, right? And not having to maybe look for the case to be like, did we transfer that one to guardianship? I don't remember. We can quickly see the status. And so the nice thing is the event status is quick and easy. You can see where it is, and that makes it really helpful. Our transportation, we have transportation requests that we do as well. This one's a bit of a different, I don't know, layout in the way that it has a secondary drop down. And the nice thing is we can actually create driving schedule lists off of the request. So the request comes in, once we accept it, I'll see if they have any in here that I can show you. There is a couple test ones. So when you're in the driving request, right, there's lots of different questions that get asked and you fill in and it helps auto populate so the driver knows, where they're going, what they're doing. When I approve it and put it in here, this is like the manager section. I can assign a driver, I can approve it, and then by entering those fields, it's creating these transportation lists. And the transportation lists are great because it's going to show you the trip for that day. So like this list, for example, is created for the 24th of April. These are the routes that there are for the 24th of April for this driver. And then we can actually print these lists and give them to the driver for that day. So that's been a really nice feature, having it all built in one, no more Excel spreadsheets to kind of give them their schedule. We can create it all right here based off the requests that are entered. So it's gotten rid of a lot of that double entry piece.
Ashley, a couple of questions coming in hot on the side, so I'll just give them to you before you move to the next thing, because so that folks
Okay.
because it might be relevant to this. Clarification on what you mean by transfer, and is that a referral internal to another program, or is that like an external referral?
All internal. So
Internal.
all of our transfers are internal transfers.
There you go.
Our organization is quite large, very, very large actually now. So we have a lot of internal teams that cases move around and in between, and same with different programs.
Cool. Awesome. Oh, and another one was around privacy and who has access to what parts. How did you guys configure it?
It was based off of what your job title was. So like, for example, a life skills worker only has access to life skills. When they do the person registry, they can see that maybe there's a case with child safety, but they can't see the details of that case. They can't click into it and look at it. So it's very much role based. Managers, like let's say like our organization, and this is where it gets kind of hard because we're so different from most child and family services now. But like we have like four pillars. We have prevention, we have practice, operations, and quality assurance. And so depending on what category you fall in, kind of depends on what areas you need. So if you're under practice, you're going to need a lot more of the intake, family service, care provider services, those types of things. So that's kind of how we do it, is role based.
Oh, one more question here too. Can this be linked to an EMR? I don't know. Via API, yes. If your EMR is API forward, then yes. This has APIs and webhooks. So it depends on the EMR in question. I can answer that one. And then I think this one's for you as well, Ashley. Correlation to OCAP principles, if you have any insights on that as a I mean, you're Indigenous and you're operating an Indigenous organization with jurisdiction. So yeah, who am I to say? It's all yours.
I don't know how to answer that only because I don't want to say the wrong thing. And that is the above me people who were like, yeah, it's good.
It's good.
So I won't be able to give like direct details, to be honest. As the operations manager, I'm in just the design and build of it. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's above our pay grade.
yes, exactly.
Okay. We were not in those rooms. Okay. Okay.
We have a board. That's the other thing that's like unusual to us. So everything is at the board level for those discussions. That no one's allowed in there but our CEO. So we just get told the outcomes.
And this is your guys' elected chief and council that makes those decisions?
No, no, we have a board separate from our chief and council.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. Got it. And they are entrusted to make those determination by chief and council.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and legal and
Got it. Got it. Yeah, there you go. Follow the authority chain. Okay, it says, does it adhere to for any data involving diverse Indigenous communities? I think this is for your guys' community that you do the data for, right? Or
sorry, what do you mean?
they're asking how do you guys handle data from diverse Indigenous communities?
Um, I honestly don't know how to answer that. I wasn't prepared for those types of questions.
No, it's all good. It's all good if you're not.
Um, I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I
I
think it's
was
more
exp I just focused I really hound in on just the
the
whys
ops.
and why I did these things and why
Yeah.
we built it the way that we did.
Yeah, no problem. Why don't you continue with that and I'll see if I can figure out as you present because I think as you present it'll become clear how you guys handle the data. Yeah.
Okay. So this is care provider services. Same thing, similar to family support services. The only difference is we needed to be able to add sections for placement requests as well as respite and relief requests. So the nice thing with this again is it's all done in one spot. So our Sowetans are able to jump into the system. Maybe they're with a family in that moment, they're out in the field, and they can do that respite relief request for them right then and there. And then our care provider manager receives these and then can action them as needed. So that's been a really nice thing, as well as the placement requests, and then being able to kind of see at first glance as well where it is. And then they have the same options of the open cases and pending cases. So pending cases is different from other tabs only because care provider services are the only team that actually has pending files when those applications are first starting to become a care provider. So we've got that broken down there. I'll skip over some of these operational ones and get through the frontline stuff. So we also have post majority. So our post majority team, again, these are all kind of cookie cutter from each other because they all do the same things. They're just, again, kind of splitting up that role and splitting up those stats. And so our post majority is very similar to the family service. And we have our tabs that we can like roll through and kind of get first glance. If I wanted to see maybe all of them, it's quite easy. It's a click and play, and I can get the full list of all those cases that they are working with. Our intake team. So this one is a little bit different because we've got they hold our intake team at least not only holds files but also holds intakes. So we've got cases that we track, as well as our in-process intakes and maybe some that have been closed. So anything new and in progress has its own tab. Um, and so we've got all of those there. Our closed intakes also generate, so we can quickly see where those are at. If I had any cases on my caseload, it would populate here. Same process, can see the whole intake team and then anything that's transferred. So obviously for this team, there's a lot more transfers because they tend to, get their intake. Maybe they have to open a case, they open it under themselves, start that work, and then transfer it to the appropriate team. Same process. When you click up here, you can see first glance, a quick look at everything there for that team that you're working with. I'll click into one just so you can kind of see what that looks like. Oh, I clicked into a handoff. So this is the intake field. So the nice thing with this is we've got, you can put the different steps, what phase you're in, because intake has a lot of different phases. And then it operates the same way as a case. So pretty much any information that you put into this, any additional calls that might be related to the same intake, any notes that you put in, any agreements that you do, maybe you have a safety plan, you can put that in. It keeps it all within the intake, very similar to how our cases operate. So our team has really, really liked that feature as well. You can break it down and see each section as to how they relate, or you can see all events broken down in one spot as well, and it gives you the different types. So that's been a really nice feature. Guardianship. Our guardianship section is, again, extremely cookie cutter to the other frontline teams, just specific to them. So they have all of their boxes the exact same way as the other ones. And if I had an active caseload, I would see it here. Our youth engagement program. So the neat thing with this one is you'll see these ones are different, right? So we've got unmatched sign-ins, and then we have drop-in history. So we actually have it where we have a QR code that's set up at our youth engagement space. And when youth come to do drop-in, they scan the QR code, they put in their name, and it matches them to a drop-in. So that's been really nice. We also have sessions. So if they're doing a session within the YEP area, they can document that, who attended. Maybe they had an elder come in to speak, and they would enter that information in. So we can kind of keep track of what's happening in the sessions, as well as the drop-in. So they all come in as unmatched, and then we match them, and then it moves it into this section. The same thing, they can have program cases, and they can see those firsthand. They also do one-to-ones. So they also have a section to get referrals. And then they've got their accepted referrals completed and canceled. So this one is a larger team because they kind of touch multiple areas that other teams don't. But it's nice how it's still broken down and easy for them to navigate and find what they're looking for. Our cultural connections is similar, where they do group cultural sessions, so they can track all of those here, but then they still have that ability to hold cases and receive referrals for the one-to-one work. Our programming is something special as well. This one actually links to a form that the community fills out, and it auto-populates it. So when you fill out the form online, instead of using Google Forms or Microsoft Forms, it actually automatically attaches it to the program that you're running, and then you can accept them in, waitlist them. We have requirements around who can register for a lot of our programs. So we found it very helpful in the sense of, if I go to all registrations, maybe someone's registered that isn't a community member with us. So then we would, decline the registration. Or if they were a community member, we would accept it and it would put them as registered. And then we also have a wait list option. So that's been very, very helpful for us. If we were to not accept or accept them, they even get an automated email letting them know that they've been accepted into the program. So that's been very, very helpful. We can put our capacity for them, which is nice as well. It'll tell me at first glance if it's full or not. Um, so that is a nice piece. And this is really showing you kind of the flexibility of the system as well. Like there hasn't been a lot of limits, and if there is, I've pushed them pretty hard with their team. Um, we'll go into our maintenance team. So this one is kind of where now we've got some of those operational things, and those have been amazing to be able to merge those worlds. So our maintenance team gets a variety of requests. They're not your tip, like they're not a building maintenance team. They are a maintenance team that does moves of children from one placement to another. They support our housing team with all of our tenancies. So you'll see things like they have furniture delivery, repair, and then move requests. But they also are on after hours. So we're also able to track the after hours calls that they're getting, which is nice at first glance to see kind of where that need is for them to continue that work. We have, again, those same fields of being able to quickly see anything that's been completed, anything that's been canceled, and anything that might be operational. So what we consider operational is anything within the office buildings, not related to clients, but the majority of their work is client related. They have here also their kind of housing and office inventory. The nice thing about these is they're able to see, this one's linked to our housing module. And so they're able to see what units are occupied. So if they had a request, they'll know if someone is occupying that unit or if it might be vacant. So they can see all the occupied units, all the vacant units. This is also really helpful for when they're doing, like our HVAC maintenance and things like that. And then they also have a spot for all the offices. So in here, they will put like details around maybe certain maintenance that they've done with the building, and then as well as any lock codes and things like that. So it's quite good that way. I don't know if they have, no. So on the maintenance side of things, what they see, which you're not seeing here, is they actually have different sections at the top, and they have a chat, like a chat room in each building that they can tag someone in, and it'll notify them by an email that you've been mentioned in a comment. So if I have a team go out and maybe, I don't know, they found there was a water leak, they can put that in the chat and tag the manager, and he'll be notified right away. So it documents, notifies all at the same time, and then we can create that request to log it to be looked at. So those are the nice things with the maintenance piece. Our good food box. So we actually have our own food security program within our department. And what we do is we do not only client related food security, but we also do community related. So the nice thing with this is we've been able to split it up to a client good food box or a community good food box. And so the difference in this is community ones we do just once a month with little requirement. And our client ones are those ones where, social workers see that they have an ongoing need for food security, and they can put in referrals to have them receive like ongoing support. So like you'll see here, the like that we've got every week, every 2 weeks, maybe it's a one-time request. And so it's built into the system. They fill out the form, and right away the Good Food Box team gets it, and they're able to action it.
Ashley, a couple other like just quick ones to get context for this stuff. So you guys, you serve on reserve and off reserve folks, or is it only nation members?
So we're on an off reserve, but only for Cowichan tribes. So
Okay.
with our jurisdiction, we serve Cowichan tribes members right now on the island. Phase two is BC, and then phase three is Canada wide.
Whoa. Okay. That's okay. So that's why you have so many of these programs because you're servicing
Correct.
everybody's needs. And so,
Correct.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And I hopefully that clarifies some of those other questions around who owns the data. You guys are, you have jurisdiction to serve your members. So that's, you get that jurisdiction via your being part of the government of for Cowichan tribes.
I don't want to go too much into the jurisdiction conversations,
Right.
but yeah, we got our own federal law, so it's federal, to service Cowichan community members.
Gotcha, gotcha. So then the
Fully.
other question around referrals, like you might have referrals of other nation members, but that your jurisdiction is only for your own
Correct. Yeah,
own
yeah.
own
So
people. Okay.
unfortunately, like for us, like it will obviously be different for many people who are joining, but for us, we do have the requirement that it's also not the parent that's registered, it's what the children's registration is. So yeah, it gets a little difficult that way,
Yeah,
because there's
yeah.
lots of other nations that live within the community, and unfortunately, we're unable to service them.
Okay. And they have their own agreements and their own, yeah. So
Most of them are under MCFD
okay, okay, there you go. Okay, hopefully that
and the
that clarifies some
CFCSA.
of the,
So
yeah, there folks are wondering why you're doing so many things under one shop, and that's probably because you have to meet all those people's needs for the,
correct.
yeah,
Yeah.
cool, cool, awesome. Sorry to interrupt. Just
No
answering the
worries.
questions as we go.
So the other great thing with this is the fact that it also adds that transportation piece. So when we're putting in a client for, pickup or delivery, we're able to add the days that it's happening so we can create the same transportation lists that you saw in the transportation model. So they can actually generate their delivery list as well as their pickup list. We have a lot of food boxes that go out every day. So this has been extremely helpful for them as they were using like Excel spreadsheets before. So this is way more streamlined. And it also creates less chance of human error, which has been great for us as well with a program of that size. Um, I've just noticed the time, so I'm trying to keep us rolling here. Unfortunately, our stuff is so big. Um, we also have finance pieces in here. So we do a bunch of different things. We have, lots of you are probably familiar with the Phones for Youth program. So when we left MCFD, we had to start our own. So we started the Stay Connected phone program for youth. And so we're able to manage all of those requests. And this also, really shows the versatility that the system allows, because like we're even talking about device conditions, right? Which it's so much more than just case notes. We're able to do the same thing with our UMO bus passes that we provide. We can put the location, the occurrence, the type of pass, the number of passes. Um, we do what's different with our organization is all of our agreements are VCAs. VCAs with MCFD, where the parents voluntarily signing their rights. With our jurisdiction, that's all they are. Is the parents are signing for children to be placed somewhere else. So that's why you'll see with ours, everything is VCA agreements. The reason why we have this link to finance is so that way we can very quickly see, okay, they've signed a new agreement. I have to set up payment. It's just that extra like notification piece because we found that that was a gap as well, right? Like social workers are busy. Sometimes they don't have, the time and they forget to send us and let us know that they've signed into that agreement. So this helps with those notification pieces and make sure people aren't missing payments. We have it where they put in all their payments. So anything that they have, if they're requesting a gift, if they're doing a reimbursement for a meal that they've had with the youth, if they're putting in maybe an invoice for speech therapy or behavioral interventionist, whatever it might be, they can put it all in and it comes here for our finance team. Same with purchase orders. We also roll those through the system. And this helps to ensure that we're also tracking on the file. One thing that we found with the split in systems is lots of times, a social worker is going to be away for a week. And, now that child's asking maybe for the same thing that they already received a week prior. Because the systems weren't talking to each other and our finance was so separate, they couldn't see what payments had been made for a child or what purchase orders had been put in, or if they, maybe received clothes already. So this also helps kind of bridge that gap by having it all in one place for clients. We can do check runs in here. So we're still in the works of getting this piece completed, but the goal is that it will create a Excel spreadsheet that we can import into Sage, and then it will create those payments. So that way we're not having to double entry anymore either. We also have vendor management. I don't know what it's like for other organizations, but for us, the hard part has been that, social workers will request purchase orders for places that don't accept them, but they don't know who accepts them. So we've created different lists. We've got a purchase order list, so that way these are all only purchase order accepted businesses or places that accept purchase orders. So when they select purchase order, they will only see the list of vendors that accept purchase order. And then if we have payment vendors that do not take purchase orders, it's just for payment purposes, it's a separate list as well. So that way it kind of eliminated the back and forth of, well, the superstore can't take your purchase order, but Save on Foods could. So things like that.
Oh, Ashley, quick one. If I don't know if you guys do this for Jordan's Principle and PMSS, but asking if you guys are tracking that or what has been the status of the application, what's been paid, or something along those lines, i.e.
We don't personally work with Jordan's Principle. We haven't had to use those services. I know our families do at times, but us ourselves, we don't request anything from Jordan's Principle. But with other payments, we track those within here, so I can see payment requests, and we track the approval status if it's been in a check run, those types of things. I don't know if that helps answer your question on just tracking payments, but we can see payment status, payment type, if it went in a check run, what the check run ID is, all of those pieces. Our housing program, ours looks a lot nicer than this, I assure you. I don't know what's going on with all of this.
It's the anonymization process.
So I have, open housing cases. So these are housing only. So sometimes intake might see that there's a need for housing. They rectify, find them housing. It rectifies the Section 13 concerns, and then they're able to just kind of transition them to our housing team to support them with building that reference and making payments to then help them transfer out and get their own housing. We have a housing wait list. So when Sowetans put in requests for housing and they say that there's a need for their family, it comes in here, and then we can assign them housing if it's available. We can also see all our housed individuals and where they are staying. We can see any completed requests, cancellation or canceled requests, our home inspections at first glance, and any transfers. So there are occasions where we might be holding a file and then we have to transfer it back to intake. And so those are in there as well. We have a housing inventory. So this is where I track and manage all of our housing units. So we are quite large in that sense as well, where we have 63 housing units. So it's very nice to have this inventory and be able to see kind of where we're at first glance, what's available, what's occupied. Our quality assurance. So, Many people will know it as reportable circumstances. Under our law, it's just called incident reporting. So being able to do those within the system and get notified right away. So our quality assurance director gets notified of all reportable circumstances and is able to action them directly right there on what type of incident type. Our quality assurance section under the law does case review, service review, and admin review. And so when those happen, she can track those all here as well. So that's been a nice piece for the quality assurance piece. We have a staff registry. So this falls within our kind of this IT module that we're building. So all staff are listed in here with their site location, employment start date. You can see, kind of firsthand. This one looks a little different, but you'll be able to see at firsthand what that employee status is, who their supervisor is, so that way you know who approves anything, what equipment they have assigned to them, things like that. We have our IT dashboard. So for our IT section, this allows staff to create tickets. So our IT tech is able to see all of the tickets that are open or pending. We can manage our asset list. So any asset that we have equipment related. He can create packages. So he can create, like, maybe social worker assistants have a different package than an admin clerk or receptionist. So that way it's kind of an easy click and go. And then also like asset type. So you can see what some of those may look like. We are building the same asset type kind of inventory within our maintenance team as well. Like there's lots of things that we're still building, but it still shows like that amount of flexibility. So like our maintenance team's going to have that same inventory where they're going to be able to track all of their furniture. We go through an abundance of furniture. We fully furnish all of our rental homes for families. So when they come in, that they get this fully furnished unit and they take that with them when they transition out. So being able to track all of that, and then we're going to be able to actually assign those pieces of furniture and what we've provided for that unit to their case. So that way it follows them as they go.
We've got a special interest in your cultural connections one. We're coming to the end of it. There's so much more, and people wanted to see the calendar, but I don't know, Ashley, maybe.
The calendar is hard to kind of give a demonstration on, but
Yeah.
because like we've barely been able to even scratch the surface of what the program is. Like we've just
Yeah.
kind of going in what I have, let
Yeah,
alone like activities, allocations, signals, like
totally.
what the actual events are. But in everything you do within the system, you can add a follow-up. You can like create that at the bottom and it will add it to your calendar.
Yeah.
I'm not the best one to honestly discuss the calendar because of my role. I oversee half the teams in this program list. They
Yeah.
report to me. And so my calendar doesn't have the same features and functions that their calendars have as someone overseeing it. So it's hard for me to kind of drill into that. But at the bottom of every event type, you have a follow-up button. So if I were in this field, you'll see there's a follow-up here. So if I don't know if I edit things in this make-believe world, if it will mess things up, but I'm going to just risk it for the biscuit here. So when you click yes to follow up, it allows you then, normally a box populates. I'm assuming because we're in this fake world, it's not. A box populates where I can add how I want it to appear on my calendar with a title,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
then that's what makes it populate over there.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. I know it's at the top of the hour, Ashley. I did my best to answer the questions as they came along, and to interrupt you as we went along as well. If there's stuff that we didn't answer, like by all means, guys, we'll look at the transcript, make sure that's in our responses. But this has been awesome. I've never seen somebody demo this better than us, so flat out better than us because it's yours. right? It's your system. So
Well, that's the thing is we have literally this is completely customized to our needs and what we needed. And I do want to say the best thing that I can say about the system is we've never been told it can't do that. It doesn't have the capacity to do that. And that is the roadblock that we hit with so many other databases of, well, we could do this, but we'd have to make it more like this, right? And it
right.
never totally fit. And so the
Yeah.
nice thing with this system is you literally, I have yet to find the breaking point yet. We might
Yeah.
find it as we keep
Might.
going, but
Yeah.
we have yet to find that. And we've never been told no, we can't. It's absolutely, we'll get that to you by the end of the week. So it's
Yeah.
been a great experience so far.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. It's so nice to hear. And even when things go wrong, there are learning opportunities too, because we've definitely had our share of bugs figuring this out, because a lot of it is digitizing the workforce too, right? Like how like all this stuff looks so natural, but that's not how your team worked before either. So I know it's been a shift in their culture, but if you've got the somebody that wants to lead that digitization and automation of some of these things, it's really cool to see. So I'm very proud of what I'm seeing. I'm proud of our team being part of what your guys' work every day. It's really, really rewarding. So thank you so much for coming on and coming on the journey with us. Really appreciate it. And with that, we'll let you folks go. We do have an announcement for another webinar as well. And I'll throw that up in case you do have the extra 30 seconds to sign up. This is, sorry, now of course my screen is tiny, but this is intake, strictly for intake. For people that are obsessing about their intake process, we want to do a deep dive on intake best practices, and there's a billion ways to do intake: coordinated intake, integrated intake, centralized intake. How do you handle external referrals and internal transfers, like what was mentioned before? How do you triage? What data should be collected at intake versus in an assessment, et cetera. So we're going to do a deep dive on that. If you're in the social sector and you're interested in this deep dive, that's coming up in June 4th. And obviously, we'll keep it coming with some of these demos of how communities have been implementing the software. Like I said, it's theirs. They make it their own. It's their data. It's their decision making. Our job is to wrap around them and enable them, not tell them how to do the work. So thank you very much once again, and we'll follow up as promised with the materials from today. And Ashley, a big thank you to you. Yeah, couldn't thank you enough for taking the time today, and very like knowledgeable, much better than what I would have demoed for sure. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.